Hello, my name is Dr. Miranda with Essence of Life Spinal Care. Many of my patients have asked me, why am I practicing? What is my story? So I'm going to share with you my story today. When I was a child, probably around 12 to 13 years of age, is when I started to notice heart palpitations or irregular heartbeats. And at first it was related to stress. Maybe you're too stressed, you have a lot of anxiety. At that time, I didn't think I was stressed, but no one really told me that this was abnormal. So I continued living my life and just dealing with them when they came, tried to relax myself when these heart palpitations or irregular heartbeats would happen, and it would go away. So I just figured it was something that I would just have to deal with for the rest of my life. I also had kind of a tension or pressure on the front of my forehead, kind of a mental or brain fog that I would get pretty frequently. It would cause me to be very irritable. I started dealing with a lot of irregular menstrual pain on top of that. So there was a few things going on, and year after year, things just started to get worse. I started to deal with a lot more issues. Digestive issues started to happen. And of course, at the time when I was a teenager, I definitely wasn't eating right as well. So I know that played a huge role. Taking certain medications, that played a huge role. So there was a lot of things that were affecting my health at that time, but there was one major thing that I didn't know could be contributing to a majority of the issues I was dealing with. And it wasn't until I actually went to graduate school after undergrad that I started to find out a little bit more how the body worked and what was really going on. These heart palpitations or irregular heartbeats started to happen more frequently. I started to get really concerned because they started happening when I was at rest. I wasn't really doing much for them to happen. So I started to get concerned. I went to the medical doctor's office again, and I got echocardiogram done, EKGs done, I got some blood work done. Everything came back normal. So they said, again, maybe it's due to stress, maybe it's due to anxiety. At that time, yes, I was stressed, so I kind of linked the two, saying maybe they're getting worse because I was stressed. Okay, so keep it moving. 2 years after, they started to get severe, where it started happening every hour, then every 5-10 minutes, and they started to get worse. I started to get shortness of breath, and I was really scared. And I said, there's something going on. I know there's something wrong here. I don't want to take arrhythmia medication. I don't want to get nerve ablation. There's something going on, and I think it can be helped naturally. So I did some research. I started learning about chiropractic. I started learning about upper cervical chiropractic, and I started going to an upper cervical practitioner in Daytona. And honestly, after my first correction, I started just weeping. I started crying and crying and crying and crying, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. Why am I crying? But I felt an emotional release, and it was the weirdest thing. I couldn't understand it at the time. I was just in shock. That a small little correction made such a huge difference. That pressure, that constant brain fog that I was feeling for years, most of my life, started to dissipate. I started to feel and think clearer. The kind of sad cloud that was looming over my head for several years started to dissipate as well. I started to feel a little bit more joyful. So that was just the emotional aspect of what I started to feel after my first correction. And I said, wow, there is something to this. This is what I want to look into. This is what I want to practice. This is how I want to help people as well who deal with the same issues that I've dealt with all of my life, but also deal with other issues that they may not be getting any answers to, or they're just managing and kind of just dealing with them, pushing through. So that was the main thing that happened right after my first correction. Then a few days later, I started noticing my heart palpitations started to get less frequent. So instead of every hour, it started happening every 2 hours or every 3 hours, then 4, then 5, then eventually I would go a whole day without one. And it started to slowly stop. To eventually at 6 months of getting the upper cervical care is when my heart palpitations completely just diminished and I no longer dealt with them. And then on top of that, I noticed the regularity with my menstrual cycles, the decrease in menstrual pain. Honestly, the only time I ever took a pain medication growing up was really because of the severity of the menstrual cramps that I would get. So I no longer needed to take any pain medication because I wasn't in pain or severe pain when I had my menstrual cycle. So that was a huge plus for me because of course, as many women can know, you can't function right when you're in severe menstrual pain. You're very irritable and you just don't feel like you. And to have that go away, it just made a huge difference. I needed to take pain medication, like I said, and then my heart palpitations went away, which was my main concern because, of course, anything that's affecting your heart, you start getting concerned, and that completely went away and healed over. I noticed some changes with my digestion, which started getting better. So with upper cervical care, what was causing these issues was pressure on my nerves, starting at the base of my skull. As you know, all these nerves come from the top of your skull, go all the way down your spine, out into your legs and your arms, and also to your internal organs. So the nerve going to my heart, or the nerves going to my heart, were the nerves that were being affected. And once that pressure was released through that spinal correction, my body was able to function better, my brain was able to communicate with my heart more efficiently, and those arrhythmias and heart palpitations stopped. As well as the brain function, so the oxygen, the blood flow, nerve flow, CSF flow, everything started to function properly. So even with brain function, with mental fog, that started to get better. The emotional imbalances, hormone imbalances, that started to get better as well. So that was actually the cause of my problem, was a subluxation in the upper part of my neck, causing these imbalances within my body. And it wasn't just spinal pain. So I hardly ever dealt with spinal pain, maybe low back pain every now and again, but I've never had any issues with severe back pain. It was more internal organ function that was affected for me. And that made such a huge difference in how I felt, how I functioned. And I said, this is what I need to do to help others heal, feel better, be who they were created to be. And honestly, that is my journey. And that is why I decided to practice upper cervical chiropractic and help others experience the same benefits that I have through this form of healthcare. And I just wanted to share with everyone my journey because I believe it's important to know the why behind, Essence of Life spinal care, behind why we're practicing the way we are and helping the people that we are helping. So I hope this helps explain to you and those that deal with these type of health issues, that you've had test after test after test, specialist after specialist, imaging after imaging, and everything is supposedly coming back normal, but you're still having these issues. There's something going on, an underlying issue that is not being corrected, and that subluxation that I just talked about could be that problem, especially if you've never had it checked before. A lot of times it goes undiagnosed for years and years and years, and like in my case, I've had it since I was a child, and I want to offer this type of care to those who are in that same situation, because that's the reason I got into practice, was to help those who are suffering, who are just managing day to day, not getting the answers to what is going on. So we are here for you if you are in the Tampa Bay area, to serve you, to help you, to explain to you what may be going on within your body and the cause of these issues. If you're looking to reserve an appointment for yourself for a consultation, you can visit our website and request an appointment there, or feel free to call us and we'll be more than happy to help you and answer any questions or concerns that you may have. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.